Hello, hello, Beat Baseball World. Welcome to another edition of the Beat Ball Blue Show. Neil Dog, maybe Bam Bam, maybe not. He's been here, he's left, he's been back again. Oh, he's just joined us. I don't know if that means anything. Seth, can you hear us? Houston. Oh, Houston, we have a problem. Anyways, Seth here, Seth not here. We're still going to go forward with the show. We got something going on tonight I've been looking forward to for a while, at least half of it. We got two guests. One's an old friend that I'm putting behind me. One's my brand new friend that I'll be treating better than I treat my old friends. But all joking aside, we got a couple of the Tyler Tigers that have joined us here tonight. Gregory Roberts and Tracey Jackson. What's happening, fellas?
Man,
he just committed show suicide. He said Gregory. Who the hell is Gregory?
You got Gregory written on your
Hey, just because it's up there don't mean you call him. See, that's how we know we ain't friends no more. Hey, what's going on, Neil Dog?
Just chilling. I appreciate you coming on. You too, Tracey. I got to meet you for the first time. We were both in the airport in Norman, Oklahoma, waiting at the same gate.
Absolutely, man. It was awesome conversation, passing time in the port. Yes,
Pretty
sir.
funny. We're opposite ends of this row we were sitting in. We're both hearing like iPhones going off at the other end, and eventually I didn't know which one of us would be the first one to break. And finally, Tracy's like, "You got to be here for the World Series, right?" Yeah, guilty. You know what my favorite part of that conversation was, Greg?
What's that?
Lost Greg. Oh, I
nope,
thought we lost
here.
you. I was like, man, Tracey, it's just me and you, baby. My favorite part of that conversation, dude, and we were introducing ourselves. I was like, hey, man, my name's Neil McDonald. He's like, are you that dude went in the Hall of Fame last night? I was like, yeah, baby.
You finally made it. Mama, I made it.
I was like, dang, I'm sitting in the airport with legend.
took less than 24 hours for somebody to do that at me. That was pretty cool. Although it more or less was the last time anybody threw it at me, but it was a cool moment.
You got your 15 seconds of fame, sir.
Yeah, right. Man, before we bye, Seth. We'll see you in a few minutes. I wish the volume was on to where people could hear that he's coming and going, so they at least know he's part. He's back. Hey, Greg, man, give me some background on you. I've known you. I guess we met in like 2009 at the Stockton. Did we?
We met in 2007. Well, in person we met in 2009, but we met before on MTS in 2007.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about beat ball wise. When was your first year? How did you find beat ball? How did you get into it?
So I found beat ball. 2007 was the first year I got introduced to beat ball in the way that we play it now. By Michael Garrett, who I ran into on paratransit. He said, "Hey man, you ever thought about playing beat ball?" And I had tried it back in 94, 95 in Florida. But that was when they wanted to try to play beat ball, running 3 bases and everything. And yeah, that didn't work out so well. So my first official World Series was in 2008 in Houston, playing for the Bayou City Heat.
Very cool. And like, what's your background as far as like how long you were blind? Were you into any other sports before finding beat ball?
I literally lost my vision at the beginning, at the age of 3, due to something called Stevens-Johnson syndrome, which is an allergic reaction to a medication. I lost my vision to penicillin. They basically gave me an adult dosage as a 3-year-old, and it burned me from the inside out. I was in the hospital for about 18 months, and 10 of them living in a bubble without any skin, any hair, anything like that. So they had to literally like regenerate everything for me. But through the years, my vision slowly decreased. I did play football when I was younger. In high school, I did run track and I played basketball. I realized that I needed to stop playing regular sports when I went for a rebound, looking up for the ball, and it hit me right in the eye. So that kind of let me know, yep, it's time to go a different route. And so from, I want to say about 2000 all the way to 2007, I didn't play any sports until I got introduced to beat ball. But by the time I got introduced to beat ball in 2007, I was practicing, but I didn't officially attend any World Series until 2008.
Going back, that was a lot to take in. As long as I've known you, I've never known any of that, and I've never heard of what do you call it, Steven Johnson?
It's called Steven Johnson syndrome. Back in the 80s, it was 5 people who known cases across America, and it's funny that you never heard of it, Neil, because you knew or know 3 people that was done at the time. You remember Mississippi Prof from Telespace? He had it, and also Tremaine. Tremaine also has it as well.
Tremaniac. I like to call her Tremaniac.
Tremtation. So us 3 were 3 of 5 people in America in the 80s that had it. Yep.
That's so wild, especially that I've never. Like Horace and I, Horace, rest in peace. He's no longer with us. The Mississippi Prof, Texas Prof. He was a Texas Prof before he moved to Southern Mississippi State.
Yes, right? Sir.
But he and I, over the years, had a lot of pretty deep conversations about life. He had so many health issues. What was that? Because he's a man who didn't smoke and had like emphysema. He never drank and had problems with his liver. Like, is all of that a result of?
No, he just had a bunch. So
the worst luck ever.
It was one of those things where the thing with Steven Johnson syndrome is it basically the medication eats you from the inside out, basically.
Okay.
And a lot of people in Prop's case, one of the issues was that he more, like my body being younger, they always tell you your body can recuperate more as young as you are compared to when you're older, it's not as much. And so with Prof, a lot of the issues was that his body just couldn't fight it off as much. So other things developed from it, but it was a basis. Like all the stuff that he had, it was a basis from the Steven Johnson syndrome. So,
I got
like,
so go ahead.
If you look up Steven Johnson syndrome, you've seen some small cases. I actually worked with a lady about 10 years ago who had Steven Johnson syndrome, but she just had an allergic reaction to Alka-Seltzer, and she lost her vision for about 3 months and got it back. So it's a lot more. There's a lot more things out there now to study to try to help people. But back when we're talking about in the 80s and the 90s, it was definitely,
But it sounds like it's kind of random, like even though like you and Tremaine and Horace all experienced it, you guys had different experiences. Like it's kind of random in how it affects you.
Well, ours were more in tune because we basically had an allergic reaction to the same medication, whereas Steven Johnson is any allergic reaction to medication.
I got you.
So ours was more in the same terms. Now, I don't know too much about Tremaine's one, but I know with mine's, it definitely, because I was 3 years old and they gave me an adult dosage. And it all stems from the fact that I was having what they call a lymph seizure, which is a seizure that happens one time in your lifetime, but it is a constant ongoing. And so for me,
we kind of can. Yeah, you cut out.
Kind of.
Again, I keep dropping out. Next time I drop out, I'm not coming back. But how do they know it was just a one-time seizure if you had lived your entire life? I'm just wondering. How do they How do they
I
make
didn't even
that
understand that
diagnosis?
question.
He's asking how they knew it was a one-time thing. Like I guess how they knew it was a limp seizure or whatever you called it.
Because I guess he's gone for good.
Yeah. Good night,
Um,
Sethy. Sleep well.
so it's called a limb seizure because it happens one time in your lifetime. And so for me, that's the only time I've ever had seizures or even came close to it. But it was one that was an ongoing thing. And the only way to stop it, some people, they have a seizure, it goes away, they relax and they're good. Well, for mine in particular, it had to be medicated in order to control it and stop it.
I got you. I don't know if you know the answer, or if they knew the answer at the time of the seizure. I think he was more asking specifically how they knew it was a limp seizure compared to any other seizure.
I don't think that they really knew.
At the time.
At the time, all they knew was that I was having a seizure and I had been having one for about almost 27 hours straight.
Yeah. All right. Wow.
So.
And the other thing that stood out to me about it, like you said, you lived in a bubble for like 10 months with, I know, like lots of things, but the no skin, like what do they do with a 3-year-old that doesn't have skin? Like
that was the whole point of the bubble, to keep me from getting germs. Because basically, my grandma used to have a picture of it in the Bible for years, but basically I was just meat and bones. If you came in and seen me, you could see all my organs, you could see everything. You also, in order for people to come and visit me, they had to wear gas masks because, of course, the body puts out its own gases to break down foods and stuff like that. So everything, and it you like you pointed out about a 3-year-old. I went in as a 3-year-old. I came out as a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So you could just imagine, like, trying to keep a kid. I had to be fed through tubes. I had to be, I lost my whole train. I had to be fed through a tube. I had to use the bathroom through the tubes. It was just one of those things where it was like, I couldn't have any contact with anyone. Anyone came and see me, they could only see me. So, just imagine anyone that has kids, your 3 or 4-year-old can't run around because they have to stay in one place in order to keep them from getting infected and everything.
And were you like heavily medicated through all that?
No, I was up and talking to people and in a lot of pain, and people say they could tell that I was in pain. It's weird because I've heard stories from family and been told, but for me,
right,
maybe it was subconscious or whatever, but I don't remember it per se. And again, I was 3 to 4, so yeah.
I don't think a lot of people have memories before, like 4 or 5 years old.
Right? Yeah,
but that for you, that's a blessing.
Yes, sir.
I think, man. Tracy, can you top that? I came in thinking that your story was going to be the story, but I don't know anymore.
I won't even try to top that one. I'm just gonna do me and let him do him. Like,
In the end, it's no contest, man. We just talk about life.
Absolutely, man. And like I say, I gotta come behind that. You should let me win first, there, dog.
Yeah, you probably should have went first.
Yeah. I mean, Tracy and I talked at the airport about what you went through, Tracy. I mean, you got a pretty. I said it to Seth when I said I wanted to have you on the show. You got a heavy story too. Go ahead and share it with us.
Yeah. So like, I guess going back to how I lost my sight, and then I come up the beat ball and all that good stuff.
Sure. However you want.
So, I was a kid motorcycle rider. So at the age of 9, I had a motorcycle accident where I didn't see the car coming at the intersection. So I asked the question, did I go blind before or after the accident? But the reality of it is, that day, every bone in my face was crushed smaller than a dime. My right leg was broke. I had 3rd-degree burns on the left leg. They had to put a tracheotomy in my throat while I was on the ground because I was choking off my own blood. And no time like Greg time, I was only in the hospital for 2 months and 11 days.
Only. It's a good long stint. When I lost my eyesight, I was in there for a month, and that feels like a lifetime to me. So
Oh man, well, I went in the hospital at 9 and it came out 10. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, at least we did turn ages when we was in there.
You guys got that in common.
yeah, man. So and after I lost
Run all that down again though. You on one leg you had 3rd-degree burns on the
yeah,
right leg, and that was
no,
from the motorcycle laying on top of you, right?
right. Yeah, the motorcycle fell on my leg. So on my left leg I had 3rd-degree burns in 2 spots on my left leg. And then my right knee was broke. And every bone in my face was crushed smaller than a dime. They had to, like I said, they had to end up put a tracheotomy in my throat while I was on the ground because I was choking off my own blood. Um, it was in order to stop the bleeding, they had to end up tying the arteries on each side of my neck. They had to cut me on each side of my neck, tie the arteries, and pack my mouth, and then try to untie the arteries before I received brain damage. And some people say they were successful, others say they wasn't.
I'm gonna go on the not successful part.
I've experienced that same thing as you, Tracy. Another thing we kind of have in common. Because I was in I was out water skiing with my oldest brother. I was 10, about a month before I turned 11, and it was the end of the day. There was like 4 or 5 boats that were out as part of our party. You know, they were out at the beaches all day long, and we were heading in. Everybody was going home. We were the last boat to leave, and one of the boats that left in front of us had broken down, and so we were pulling it in. And they use like 2 water ski ropes and a chain to do it, and one of the ropes broke and the chain came back and hit me in the face, and it hit me from the right side, so I didn't get the whole face like you did, but the right side of my face was crushed, and my nose and sinuses and everything had to be rebuilt, took out both eyes. But I was kind of faced the same thing. I was in ICU for like a week because I hardly had any scar tissue left in between my sinuses and my brain, and they're worried, if the sinuses had leaked, I either would have died or had brain damage. And so people are still questioning whether I got away with no brain damage or not also. So
man,
sorry, man.
I tell you, I'm full of brain damaged people on this call.
With Seth gone, we might need you to step in as host. Man, I'm sorry to take you away for your story for so long, but we had something in common, man. So.
Absolutely, man. But look, only a week in ICU, man. You gotta get your weight up. I spent the month in ICU, man. Come on,
man. Both of y'all get y'all weight up. What you talking about, man?
Craig said, I spent 10 months in ICU. I was the boy in the bubble before John Travolta.
Right. I tell people all the time when I talk about that is hey, you ever seen the Bubble Boy movie? And everybody's like, yeah. Well, that's basically my story without it being me. So
Greg didn't get the girl at the end either.
So didn't.
Dang, Greg. You gotta live out the whole movie, man.
Man, I give it to you. I give it to y'all max out here, I give it to y'all,
So Tracy, man. Like I know for myself, like it took my face a long time to heal. What was the aftermath like for you face wise?
Oh man, to be honest with you, I really like a lot of stuff I can't really remember some of it, even though I was going through it a lot. A lot of it I don't remember. One of the funny things is, it was years later. I was probably I was in high school and I was watching the Dennis Bird story, when he learned how to walk again, after his football injury.
Right.
And I'm watching the movie and he's going through the therapy to learn how to walk again, and I just started crying, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me, right? And so it's like as I'm crying, then all this stuff is rushing back to my memory, and I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I said, did I go through this? And she was like, yeah, baby, you don't remember? And I was like, nah, I didn't remember. And so it's
Wow.
funny how your brain just block out certain aspects of your life until something happens and it trigger it. And so um yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
was
see it a lot, like that type of story, like a lot with kids that grew up with a lot of trauma and abuse. You know what I mean? That when you're young, your body and your brain kind of have a way of stepping in sometimes and protecting you from stuff, and then it's the same kind of story. While later in life, when you're growing up, all of a sudden something else comes along that triggers it and just brings it all rushing back.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
That's heavy.
that was part of my life. And for other sports, before I lost my sight, I did play little league football a little bit, but they made me play that. I preferred to ride motorcycles. Um, Matter of fact, they threw a pass to me. I just caught the ball when they tackled me. I got up and took my helmet off and went to swinging on people because I'm like, man, they hit me. But
With the motorcycles, how young were you when you started riding bikes?
I was 7, so I started about 2 years before my accident.
Did you ever get to do it in any kind of a competitive way?
Not organized competitive. Look.
I had some races, but they were legal.
Yeah, it was like, neighborhood back alley against other kids that had motorcycles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Me and my brother, hey, look, they couldn't touch me and my brother, man, because probably neither one of us had too much sense. So where they would actually, try to use common sense and turn it around, we just slammed on brakes, slung that joke around, and hit the gas.
When
So,
I could see and I was a kid, I never really got to see any of it live in person, but when I would see like kids under 10 like racing motocross or whatever, I
mhm.
thought that looked so cool. I would have loved to have had a shot to, ride a dirt bike out off
Oh
road or
man,
whatever.
yeah, man. Like I used to love Eva Knievel, and
Yeah,
I should have learned from
yeah.
him that this was not it was not a safe sport. But but
Yeah.
yeah, so
So
but as I
yeah,
like
go ahead.
uh-huh. No, I just gonna say as I grew up though, I did wrestle in high school. That was after I lost my sight, so I wrestled I'm from Albany, Georgia. I wrestled for Monroe Comprehensive High School. Go Tornadoes. Um
Woo
And
woo.
then I found I actually first came across beat baseball at the Waycross camp for the blind when I was probably like 12 or 13 years old, but I had no idea that they were doing it on the level of like a World Series. Um, I only found that out like later. We started a local team in Albany probably around 2011, 2012. And Atlanta had a team then called the Eclipse, and
Yeah.
then the Athens Timberwolves had a team, and we created a team in Albany called the Albany Vipers, and we would go back and forth and play each other. And the Albany Vipers team was undefeated with my brother Tim Chappell, Big Temp, from the Atlanta Chaos, Adrian Tamplin. He was a part of the Albany Vipers. And like I say, hey, we were undefeated, and um, but people ended up moving away and doing different things, and that team fell apart. And so at that point, then I had met McDuffie, and we joined the Columbus Midnight Stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when the World Series came to Columbus in 2013, that was actually my first World Series, and probably 2 months after the World Series in a daggone exhibition game, I tore my ACL, and that put me out for a couple of
Oh
years.
wow.
Right, yeah.
Oh man.
And so
Uh,
I didn't return until probably like 2016 or 20. What year it hit West Palm? That was 2017, I think. 16.
2017, the
2017.
same year I
Yeah.
Yeah,
returned.
yep. So I returned in West Palm with Tyler then, and I've been with Tyler ever since.
Great. You were away from the game for a while. Where'd Greg go?
Greg, did we lose?
Man,
Yeah.
as soon as I hit mute, he asked me a question.
You never know. I let him fly.
Yeah,
How long were you out?
I was out for 5 years.
had
My
no
last, I took a break from 12. Well, I didn't take a break. Playing for my last game, playing for Bayou City Heat. We played, second to the last game, we played the Chicago Comets. And the person I love to hate ever since then, Giovanni, hit a line drive shot that hit me dead in the right eye, fractured my orbital bone.
Oh, wow.
And gave me a concussion. And I ended up being out between that, starting a new career at the IRS, having a child, and miscommunications between me and Bayou City. I was out until 17 when I came back to West Palm, because that was the year, we went to Florida. So of course I had to get back in the sport then, going back home. And that's when I came back with the Blackhawks in 17.
It's just a kind of a byproduct of being part of our game. You know what I mean? Even though we all love the game and give up sacrifice as much as we can to be part of it, since the game can't pay us, pay any of the players, whatever people involved. Sometimes life just demands that you not play for a while.
Yep.
Sometimes life gets in the way. So, Tracy, then you're one of our players, many of our players, because we're so subject to just randomly learning about the game. You're one of our players then that didn't learn about it for a long time. You were older, I guess, once you learned found out about baseball, at least like playing it at the World Series level. Okay. Why is everybody muting?
Yeah, I'm right here. Look, I was definitely older. When I started playing, I was 38, 39.
Yeah.
So I was already old as hell by the time I found
No, I mean, it's a case for a lot of people. An example that I like to use a lot, just because what a monster he's been, is David Smith. Look at the career he's had so far, and he didn't find the game till he was like 36, 37. Imagine some of you guys finding the game, and you're when you're 20. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
man.
then in your prime, ready to attack it.
Yeah, that would have been awesome, man. I'm trying to get back in better shape than I was when I was 20, because for the last 2 years I can't I think last year, Greg, when it was like the first game, I went out and threw my shoulder back out and couldn't play the rest of the World Series. And this year, the first game of the second day, my first run to the base, I hit the base and pulled a groin muscle, and so I just hopped through the rest of the World Series.
Oh man. Body doesn't know that we're getting older. It's got to take care of us so we can get a few more
no, the body
in.
knows. It's just that we don't know.
Right? Yeah. The body is telling me like, "Hey, bro, you gotta calm down with all this." But I haven't accepted the fact that that I'm almost 50 now.
Do you, as part of your workout, or whatever, do you do lunges by any chance? Do you know what lunges are?
Yeah, I did do lunges, but they were just like like your regular when you're stepping out for. I never. You were telling me in the world, matter of fact, in the airport about the side lunges and things of that nature.
Not even the side. I call them all. I don't know what they're officially called. All around the world lunges is what I call them. And so you go out with one leg, you go out front. Then you go out at an angle front, and then out straight to the side, then a back angle, then straight back, then do the whole thing with the other leg. And I'm telling you, like Mike Finn turned me on to that when I don't even know, like in 06, I by the end of the tournament, both my groins were sore as hell, and he had me start doing lunges, doing that all the way around like that, and I've never had soreness out of a groin since. So.
Cool.
Not just to you, but to everybody. If anybody, I mean, even don't wait until you have groin problems, man. Just start doing them now.
Yeah.
No worry. I'm gonna definitely turn him on to the Mike Finn way of life. So we gonna get them right. It's gonna be all right.
All right.
Yeah, man. So yeah,
So,
but
man,
hey, go ahead.
what? Go ahead. Were you gonna
No,
throw something else out there?
no. Go ahead.
So go back to our trip, our time sitting at the airport talking, because I this has made a big deal in my life. So I want to give you some love and talk about it a little bit. I don't know what prompted you to do it, but after our talk, you sent me a book, Jim Rome and another author that I'm
Yeah, Chris Widener.
yeah, the 12 Pillars.
Mhm.
And like Todd, 'cause I don't think I'm the first person you sent that book on to. I could be wrong, but
No, you're not,
it,
and it's like the book was a very instrumental book for me, and I mentor a lot of kids, and so I've shared it with a lot of those. And then, like as I'm talking to as I'm talking to different people, sometimes it's just like I'm a spiritual guy, so I say like the Holy Spirit was just like, hey, drop that book on him, and so um. I dropped it. So I was like, "Hey, yo, man, like, let me get your email. Let me drop this book on you." And so, so now, what did you think about it? How did like have you ever listened to something like that? How did it impact you?
I've listened to some self-help books. I mean, I've been trying to help myself with direction for quite a while. I'm not gonna lie. I'm 55 and I'm still looking for some direction. So I've messed around with some self-help books. But I can't say that there's a single one I've ever read that is stood out to me like this, or that I followed up with. Like I've never sat down and done any of the tools that it says to do. So, and just for the audience sake, in this book, and one thing that's kind of odd about this book to me, or not odd but different, is self-help books are usually like nonfiction, and this is a fictional book. Right? I mean, did
Right,
I take that
right,
right?
right.
I was just like, man, did I get that wrong? Am I an idiot? So,
You're absolutely wrong.
so this is a fictional book, but it's still it's a short read. It's an easy read. 12 chapters, one chapter for each pillar. But it just, for me personally, like the process of what it's recommending doing, it was just hit home with me, I guess. And
Yeah,
and it seems like, at least to me, the instructions are kind of vague. It tells you what to do, but you're kind of left with the freedom to do it in the way it works for you, I think.
right. Yep.
But you're encouraged to write out 100 goals, and not just like 100 individual goals, but it breaks down for me. Like I have not had, because this is something I'm working with every day now, because it's the only way it's going to work. I have 5 major goals, and it
Did
encourages
we
you
lose
to
him?
set like a main goal for 10 years from now, and you fill in whatever's important there, and then you look at 5 years from now at the midway point and where you want to be as far as achieving those goals, and then the more immediate future. It could be tomorrow, like think over the next year or two, whatever, but it also could be more immediate than that, like the next few weeks, next few months, or whatever. And having the instructions, or whatever, the assignment, to break it down like that, made it easier to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, it makes it easier to try to achieve them, I guess, even though it's overwhelming when I go through the list of 100, and it took me, Tracy, quite a while to get there. Like,
Yeah.
when remember I sent you a text a few months ago. It's like, all right, man, you've done your job. I'm starting my goal.
Right.
I made it through like 30 or 40 that night, and I was struggling to get to 40, and I was like, wow, this is not going to be easy. And then I was guilty of letting it sit for a week or whatever, before getting back to it. But finally, like, I don't know how far back, a few weeks back, I just wanted it finished. I was not going to. It was like a Sunday. I was like, I'm not closing my computer till I've got 100 goals written on there. And what I'm happy about when I go back and look at it now, like none of them are BS. You know what I
Right.
mean? I didn't
Yeah.
just put it in there to get to 100. Like every single, I mean, there were things I needed to stretch to get to 100, but when I read through it now, I don't feel like any of it's BS.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
what
let's
I was
let's
also,
let's let's tell the truth, shame the devil. You know, it's one of those things where he was like, I know I got Tracy coming on in a couple of weeks. I can't go to him and say I only got 77. So I had to make sure I get 100.
actually, you're close, but I wanted to be further along than that. I wanted to be achieving some goals. But no,
Yeah.
what I was just gonna say is kind of like the last part for me. But if anybody tries it, like what I was also guilty of, Tracy, is once I hit the 100,
Uh-huh.
I wasn't going back and reading it. Like you know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
just like proud of myself. Like, okay, we got goals in mind. And I literally now I'm reading it in the morning and I got to read it at night because there's just too many details in there that you just let slip. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And even though like I laugh a little bit at like my 5 major goals where I want to be 10 years from now because I've never like thought of life that way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I want to have this going for me 10 years from now. And it's like, it feels weird because it's like, holy crap, that's really a commitment. Like,
Yeah.
I've shied away. I've been single all these years because I shy away from commitment. But I'm excited about it because it's like, man, I know that's all far away, but like if I follow all this other stuff and keep reading it and keep pushing myself to do it, I feel like the details just kind of get you, and the book kind of pushes that
Yeah.
mentality that just doing the process is good for you. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to achieve 100 goals, you just need to be better by trying to achieve the 100 goals.
Exactly. Yeah. And the key to it is once you have them written down and you're going back over them, the primary thing that do it makes your mind start thinking about them and you start truthfully finding ways to accomplish those things and get those things done. And when you look back, you be like, "Oh, dang, I've accomplished that. I've accomplished that. I've accomplished that." And you start like marking that list also. That's the awesome part about just walking through that process, man. That it really calls you to be more productive and take them, you know, have a direction for your life versus just. I mean, because like they say, if you don't have if you don't have a destination, then anywhere will take you there, right? So if once you got a destination in mind, now you can start planning that route to get there. And so that's the awesome part about those goals.
Now you're actually on the ground moving rather than on a treadmill. Does it going,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I hate
stationary.
treadmills. Just
But
for
not
that same reason.
but that's why I literally have to read it twice a day, like start my day and end my day with it because I after finishing it, I didn't read it for at least a week and going through it, it's like I mean, it's kind of overwhelming because it's like, oh my God, there is so much stuff in here. And when I wasn't reading it, I wasn't doing any of it. Like
Yeah,
very, like like 1% of it. I just wasn't addressing anything. It's like, man, this is why you stand still. You've got to. So I mean, I don't know. Like I owe you a huge thank you because I don't know, makes me I feel more optimistic about my future than I've felt over the last few years, to be
oh
honest.
well,
And I mean, I don't know what I'll achieve or what I won't, but just the fact that starting the process makes me feel better and more optimistic's enough for me. So
I mean, and the fact that you've started, I mean, you'll definitely keep it up, and man, I'm telling you, you're gonna be so amazed on like the different things that you will accomplish, and like when we talk in a couple of years, you're gonna be like, "Hey, man, that 100 list is done."
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling that confident, but I haven't shared my list with anybody, so like the details of it, and I already know at some point if I ever share it with anybody, there's gonna be stuff I look back and laugh at. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I hope a few years from now I am looking at it still. You know what I mean? I
Oh
don't
yeah.
want to drop it. I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering my last kind of question on it. If you by any chance remember the moment or anything in particular that said, "Man, I think this man needs this." I mean, you
Like,
said it was a spiritual thing, so who you know what I mean? I realize it might not be anything exact, like a net whatever.
yeah, it's not. It's like I say, it's not so much as like I never know who I'm going. I never know who I'll like be led to give it to. But whenever I'm led to do it, I mean, I've probably given that book out over 50 times, and to be honest with you, I can't even remember who all I've sent it to.
No, I believe that.
I'll just send like I'll meet somebody, we'll be talking, I'll be like, hey, text me your email address, and they text me that email address, and I just forward it over to them.
It was so funny. We talked about quite a few different things, including the fact that you and your wife, shout out to her, were sitting at the wrong gate for your flight, and you guys were worried I was sitting at the wrong gate too.
Oh
I
man.
actually ended up being at the right gate, so that it worked out all right for me. But we talked about so many things in our short time together. I just remembered when you were leaving you're like, man, text me your email address. And you had already told me you wanted to send me the book, but I could not. I was like, well, we just exchanged phone numbers. What's he need my email for? I could not even remember why you wanted my email address. And then literally the next day, man, that book was already there. It's like, oh, this dude. So, no, I appreciate that. Man, Greg, this guy, like, he's talked about he likes to mentor. I've seen his work out there just in the community as a good person trying to help folks out. What got you? Because you told me he's the captain of the team with you. Like, what about Tracy made you, got him into the leadership role with the
No,
Tigers?
Greg is the captain. I'm the co-captain.
Yeah, I know that. I was asking
Oh,
why.
okay.
Well,
Why?
originally, and this is kind of on the line that you say that you was just talking about. Originally, it was said that I was the co-captain and Tracy was the captain. And sometimes you see stuff in people and you kind of say, okay, they need to da 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 da. And so Tracy being the captain, but I was always like, okay, I want to make sure that we as a leadership team don't fall by the wayside. So even before Tracy could come to me and say anything, I'm already jumping on stuff. And then all of a sudden I get a call from Larry and they're like, hey, we're going to make a change. I'm like, okay. It was like, hey, we're going to make you the captain and Tracy the co-captain. I'm like, oh, okay. So I called Tracy. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? Like, why was the switch? And Tracy say, hey man, I see you doing a lot of the stuff, and it just, it's one of those things when, and it comes down to leadership. When you mentor and you leadership and you do different things, you see stuff in people and you say, okay, let me push them to the forefront. And he pushed me into a light to where, yeah, I always wanted to, be a leader of the team, but I never wanted to be that person all the way out front. And it kind of put me in a situation to where it's like, okay, now you got this whole captainship on you. Now you got to really show up and show out. So, I mean, hey, let me tell you, I now understand what they mean when they say first person up, last person down. Man, let me tell you, I spent a lot of days at the World Series, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, be the first one out the door, and 10, 11 o'clock be the last one in the room. So I definitely understand, but I appreciated that because that let me know that someone seen what I was doing, what I thought I was doing behind the scene, and he was paying attention to it the whole time.
It's funny. I started. I guess Tracy, maybe you were trying to correct me. I started this all out with the wrong approach. I thought because you're the one that's been around the longest, Greg, and I know you had a lot to do with designing the defense this year and stuff. So I figured they're letting you pick the captains and everything. But
No,
Larry and Tracy started all this.
Larry and John Ingram started it, and they picked us to be the captains for this year. And they try to put people in different leadership, but we've already been told y'all don't have to worry about it. Y'all ain't going nowhere next year. So,
I was just saying, I gotta reach out to Larry, see if he's fired y'all yet.
Look,
I might have to edit this part out the show.
No, you ain't got to edit. I've tried to resign at least 50 times over the last 6 months, yeah. And all Larry always tells me is, "Yeah, okay." Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be a leader until they are a leader. Then you realize it's not all that fun to be a leader sometimes.
Larry don't listen to nobody because I told him, I was like, "Hey, coach, I don't even need a title to lead. I mean, I do it like the stuff I do is like I'm so busy when we're outside of the World Series,
right.
And so I don't have a lot of time, but when I take off for the World Series, I'm all in. So no matter if I'm on the sideline as a cheerleader or whatever, look, I'm all in for that week that we're out there. So I was like, I don't need the title, but Larry don't listen to nobody.
Hey, perfect example of what Tracy just said. Atlanta Chaos, y'all want to thank Tracy for that butt whooping y'all got last year at the World Series. Because Atlanta, we was playing for the 9th and 10th place game. And Atlanta was on the sideline. They was doing their cheer, talking about they was ready for 9th place and everything. And Tracy come over to the huddle and he goes, "Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? Y'all better go out there and kick their ass." And then it was literally, and it got me because up until that point, I had never even heard Tracy cuss. I didn't even know Tracy could cuss. So when he said it, I had to turn around and look like, wait, what? What you just say? And it was just it caught me off guard. But just in he couldn't play because of the shoulder, but he was like, he was the first person when they say, leading by example, whether you're in the game or not. Tracy was always the loudest one. You could always hear his mouth. He was in pain in the back on the bench, yelling out for the team. And when we come off the field, he was the first one to meet and greet everybody off the field, no matter what it was. So,
I mean, like I told him, I'm from Georgia, and I play in Tech. I play for the Texas team. Ain't no way in the world I can go back and let Georgia talk noise to me all year. I'm like, no, that ain't happening.
This story I've had about the Tigers for years. I never knew if it was true or not until I had Larry Reed on the show for the first time a few years ago. But your Tyler Tigers, when they first started, their very first World Series was 1995 in Denver, and they showed up in one van. The whole team showed up in one van. They had 2 rooms reserved for 2 nights.
I believe it.
Stayed in 2 rooms over 2 nights. They didn't expect to stay in the tournament. They got knocked out on the second day. Got back in that van and all that was
Yeah, that sounds like Larry Reed there.
That's how the Tyler Tigers got started in beat baseball. Speaking of the Tyler Tigers, they've been hosting the Great Texas Shootout for quite a while, which is a fun tournament that is held every October. It both is in honor of Blind Awareness Month and cancer survivors. It honors both. They do a big helium balloon release. Half the balloons are white, representing the people who have lost their sight and are still fighting to return to a normal life. And the other half is pink for cancer survivors. Greg, I'll ask you, how did the tournament go overall last weekend?
Oh man, it was awesome. One of the things that I love about the Texas Shootout is the fact that even though we call it the Texas Shootout, we had a lot of players who were from other states that came in this year to participate, from other states and from other teams to participate in this tournament. And it really lets I remember starting off with the shootout where we had enough players where we basically played 2 games and we did a pick 'em. You go to this team, you go to this team, no matter who team you was with. And to see it to now to where we're competing for a belt and everything, it was awesome. This year we had Austin, Bayou City, and Tyler, of course. And shouts out to Austin for their reign as the original first Texas Shootout champions. And shouts out to Bayou City for taking home the belt this year. But it was, like I said, to have the players and the caliber of players come and play in the tournament this year, pretty awesome. For Bayou City, they had Richie and Lupe, but they also had Eric Rodriguez and our female rookie of the year, Caitlin. I'm about to butcher her last name, so I'm not even gonna say it. Overshiner. I don't know why I wanted to say Shinabot. Maybe I'm thinking about drinking right now. But they participated with Bayou City, and then Tyler, our team is naturally based off of players from other cities and states, but majority of our actual team wasn't even there this year. And so we had Alex Barrera from Long Island, Lord Jesus, Long Island. We had Cesar Lascano from Philly Fire.
Yeah,
we had yes, sir. We had Damian Gonzalez from Jersey.
Nice.
We had Roy Hutchins from BCS. So we had a combination of players, and then of course me, El Darnell, and Ron. So we had 7 players.
Has El Darnell been playing with the Tigers of late?
He's been playing with the Tigers for years now.
I should already know that answer, but for some reason in my mind, I still like placing with comments and stuff. But I guess
you went way back.
I know.
He played with Bayou City for a few years, so you went way back in the time machine.
And I know that because he was there with you and Seth, so I do know that. It just, I mean, in my mind, I guess it and a lot of it's because the changes have been since I stopped playing against him or whatever. But man, I and again, as part of like the ranking committee, I look at the rosters and stuff, and for some reason I just I didn't register in my mind that El Darnell, he's been playing with the Tigers.
Well, it does throw it off because he always like to say, "Hey man, it's El Darnell." We always put in Darnell. So
dude, when we were playing against him in the '90s, he was Leonard Wynn.
Larry.
Yeah, I knew it started with an L. Yeah. Yeah, he was Larry. Yeah, that's right, Larry.
Oh, don't call him that now, because man, it's El Darnell. And he gets really really mad about it. But
I call him Leonard than Larry, so I'll be in trouble either way.
Yeah, you definitely will. But yeah, we had a great time. We actually the Tyler Tigers actually participated in White Cane Day the Friday prior up there at Larry and Rosie and Ron's job at the lighthouse there. So that was a pretty cool event. Then of course we had our dinner that Friday night, which they always put down the spread. Neil, you're gonna have to make it out there one year, man. I didn't even
know there was a dinner. I'll go. Oh yeah, I'll fly home on Saturday. I'll just go for the dinner.
Listen, ask Nestor Gonzalez about it. He'll tell you. I come out there for the ball, but I really come out there for the brisket. So
Good Texas brisket.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So
Nice.
and then we did four. We ended up streaming 3 games. Thanks to Tim Hipner. And what we decided to do with the streaming was that since we only had 3 teams, one team would have a bye, and we would pick somebody from that team that had a bye to do the color commentary for the game. And so the first game, which was Bayou City and Austin, El Darnell did it for Tyler. Wayne put everybody to sleep in the second game. And then Richie copped out at the 3 innings in the third game and put the rookie Aaron from Oklahoma, who played with Bayou City. He did the screaming half with Richie. And so, like I said, all in all, it was a really good thing. Tim ended up leaving after the third game. He got tired and he had to drive all the way back. But we ended up playing the fourth game between Tyler and Bayou City for the championship, and Bayou City won it. So congratulations to those guys.
I was drawing a blank for a minute. Aaron Higbee. From the Oklahoma City Lookouts. He'll also be out at the All-Star Weekend with his teammates, Jay and Mark. So
Ivy.
Yeah, Mark Ivy.
Yep.
I mean, I always draw a blank on Jay's last name. I know it starts with a T. I'm drawing a blank on
Chisit.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to Jay.
Oh, and let me give a shout out to one more person on our team because I know I never hear the end of it. She couldn't play, but because she messed up her foot. But shout out to Alexa Owens for playing with us. I know I never hear the end of it if I didn't shout her out. No.
Okay. I don't know.
Wait, G man, you moving
on.
No, we gotta shout out to Run and the Underdog, man. We
don't shoot out to we'll shout out to those guys. They are the Tyler Tigers. So when we say Tyler Tiger, that's automatically them. No, but definitely shout out to the Underdog. In my eyes, one of the top 3 pitchers in the league. So I don't care what nobody says, and you can fight me on it. I don't care. And then one of the greatest hitters in the league. I never said that, so we ain't got no proof on that. Some guy named Bubba. Some guy named Bubba. Big Bubba. Remind me of Forrest Gump. No, but I love those guys, and it was definitely a great work. And then as we always say, our sport wouldn't be nothing without the volunteers that we have. And so shout out to Katie, Mathena, and Jordan Simpson and Jaden for umpiring and, making that trip all the way across. And, shouts out to the Lighthouse staff and all those guys that came out. And we can't forget the girlfriend of the Tyler Tiger, Miss Julie. We always forget her, but she's the one person that everything goes behind her. Everything. So her and Miss Rose, they hold it down.
Her and Miss Rose, they gonna keep it on lock.
Yeah. So I talk about me running, but them ladies right there, I tell you what, they make sure everybody get picked up, do everything, and they also make sure that they don't stop running. I had to tell Larry Sunday. He was getting ready to call them at 8 o'clock in the morning. So come on, y'all, let's go check out. I say, man, if you don't let them ladies sleep, I'm gonna slap you for them. So, but yeah, the Texas Shootout in any tournament, Cassie for doing all the photos for us, big shouts out to her. So we every year it gets bigger and better, and all of the volunteers that come out, all the players that travel across make it all worth it, man.
Yeah,
last year around the holidays, I wrote an article for the PR department about tournaments like this that give back. The whole article was about what teens were out in the community doing to give back. And so obviously I interviewed Larry and got a lot of the background on the tournament. And Cassie Hopkins was very kind to send a bunch of photos to be part of the article. So I know she's big in that part. Yeah. Appreciate her. For anybody that's interested, all 3 of the games that were played can be found up in Beep Ball Nation, but also on the MBBA Facebook page at MBBA 76. on Facebook if anybody wants to check out those 3 streams. I can't let you guys get out of here without talking about your Tyler Tigers. I don't know if it was for you guys on the team. Probably don't like hearing this, but for some of us, your finish this year was a little bit higher than anticipated. Cracking it, you guys got in at 9th, right?
We got in that 10th. 9th was last year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So talk about the World Series you guys had. We'll start with you, Greg. So, you designed the defense, big man on campus.
Well, and the thing is, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that with the Tyler Tigers is we do have a lot of players who are based otherwise. I mean, I'm now in Arizona. We got Tracy in Georgia. We have Donnell in Illinois. So we don't really get a chance to really like practice as much. And so the design for the defense was definitely a trial by fire this year. But ultimately it showed what we can do towards the end. And another thing is that like I got injured the second game, the first game, second at bat. And I played the whole series hurt. Tracy played the whole series hurt. We had a lot of injured players, and one of the things that I decided on this year, and I spoke with Neil about earlier, was that, and it pointed out to me about the Texas teams having 6 teams in Texas that, we go to other tournaments and it's fine and well, but we don't, being the biggest state with the most teams, that we don't get a chance to really play each other or even practice or play games until we get, some of the teams don't get a chance to play or practice in a game setting until the World Series. And that kind of happened to us this year. And so we got out there early enough. We call ourselves trying to do a West Coast dog. Neil, you know what that's about, right? Getting there a few days early and getting the full out practice and everything. So we definitely did that. And we started off slow, but we ended up getting hot towards the end, and it definitely helped us out. And we ended up facing Gateway a couple of times. We beat Austin Thursday night. We actually got robbed big time against the Hurricanes, but I ain't gonna throw that out there. But we got robbed big time.
That's good. You're not gonna throw it out there.
Yeah, right. That's a game that we definitely should have won. But it is what it is. So hopefully next year, with us being able to play in the Texas tournaments that's coming down the pipe and being able to get that game experience, that we're not coming in playing on the fly. So
we'll jump to next year here in a second. Tracy, you got anything you want to add on this past season?
I mean, yeah, basically like Greg said, I think if we could have stayed healthy, I think we would have shocked y'all a little bit more, because we were definitely we were definitely in position to do that. But injuries and other little different thing we were working out caused us to be where we were. But hands down, underdog is, I think, couple of key players. He's definitely gonna move the Tigers up into the top 5.
Dude, are you like introducing something here, or do you guys have a couple key players in mind that are on the way?
No,
we did not speak about the future right now. We can't put our secrets out there, but we working on some stuff behind the scenes. Let's say it like that.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And that, I guess, that kind of well, it's first because you kind of threw it out there. So you're hoping in 2024 to get a tournament involving Texas teams started, then, correct?
It's not a hope. We're working on it right now with all 6 active teams in Texas. And we're looking at having tournaments, one in April and one in May. That way, for those teams who like to travel and still go participate in the Indy tournament, the Chicago tournament, the new Gateway tournament, they are able to still go and do that. But being able to give, especially with the way that the ranking committee does things now, we want to be able to give those teams that may be less fortunate than others in Texas an opportunity to put something out there, because a lot of the stuff that's coming down for rankings is that people are ranking by what they see from what the team does that off season, and it's really unfair to other teams who may not have the opportunity to afford to go to tournaments and like the Beast of the East, or go to the Chicago tournament, or do one of those things. So we want to give everybody an equal opportunity to basically put a thing out there to where we're not being ranked based off of what we potentially, or what people think that we potentially can do. So as Neil know, besides him, I'm one of the people who paid attention to a lot of the tournaments that went on this year. And so one of the things that spurned that for me, the idea of putting on a Texas tournament and, hitting the ground running with it and trying to pull it out, was the fact that I can't remember if it was the Indy tournament or the Chicago tournament. I know it's one of the two, but we had 3 Texas teams that participated in that tournament, and they ended up playing 4 games. And each Texas team out of the 4 games played 2 games against another Texas team. So it was basically, we went across the country to play each other.
Another Texas team.
Yeah. Right. And I know from years ago with one of my things in the background of doing travel, I know from doing travel for Austin one year for the Chicago tournament and the tournament, I know the funds that go into that to just for one weekend, between making sure all the players and the volunteers are able to fly for tickets, and make sure that you have a van for everybody to get around, hotels, that all becomes very expensive, And so that spurred me with watching all the games. It's like, why are we going, nothing against the other tournaments, but why are we going all the way across the country to play each other that's right there in our own backfield? And so all teams have committed so far to participating in those 2 tournaments, and I got some things working in the background for the champion of those 2 tournaments. So it's a lot of things that's coming down the pike that we're definitely trying to make sure that's gonna really hit the ground running for the Texas teams.
And when you pointed out that it's going to be held over 2 weekends, one weekend in April and one weekend in March,
right? April.
May. Yeah,
April and May. Yeah.
April and May.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to have kind of a format similar to the Beast of the East?
Yes.
I mean, I say similar. I realize you guys might do your own thing, but it will be that kind of a 2-weekend thing.
Correct.
Cool. And it might be too early to know this yet. Will it be similar from the standpoint of like the host of each one moving around, or will it just be hosted in the same?
So essentially it started off where we was going to do April in Austin or in that area, and then May in College Station. We're for sure going to do May in College Station, but due to some field issues in Austin, we're looking at doing it elsewhere for that April tournament. So we're still working on trying to lock that one down. But we definitely have the weekends in mind. The first weekend in April, and then the weekend in May would be the weekend between Mother's Day and Memorial weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that weekend in between.
Okay. Very cool. I know, I don't know, anybody like myself or you, Greg, like beat ball junkies, more tournaments is always good news. On the product on the field, your Tigers, looking at 2024, you guys have finished in that 9th, 10th range over the last 2 years. And in all fairness, when there's conversations about teams taking a leap like into the top 6, 7, 8, there's not a lot of Tyler talk. Do you guys feel differently? How far out are you guys? Can you guys make that jump?
Well, as we like to call our pitcher the underdog, we always love to be the underdog. We always love to be the one that's counted out because that's when we rise to the top. So in our eyes, we look at a lot of games where if you pay attention to the Tyler Tigers games, we've had a lot of games where there's been one inning that we made mistakes. And as we all know as beat ball players, when you make one mistake, that one mistake compounds into 2, that compounds into 15. And the balls that we should get, we don't get. And when it comes down to the balls that we're not supposed to get, that's all things. So if we get to a point to where we eliminate that, we definitely see ourselves taking a step further. And that also comes down to, again, being familiar with each other on the field and how each other plays. People don't realize, but a lot of times, you don't want to overrun something or you don't want to underrun something when you're not familiar with playing with the people next to you or around you. Yeah. And if you get to a World Series and that's the first time that you're stepping on the field with your full squad, then that becomes an issue. And so even with the thought of the tournaments is that we can get an idea of what we have and, okay, this is what we need to work on. Maybe we need to switch positions for this person compared to that person. So it's a thing to where we never feel like we're out of anything and we don't feel like we can't beat anybody. We do feel like a lot of times stuff happened to us because we self-inflicted. So, like you said, we in that 9th, 10th range, but easily we could have been 7th or 8th even this year, and last year we did the same thing as well. So
yeah, I think it's go ahead, Tracy.
No, and the reality of it is usually when it comes to batting, we can bat with anybody. Our problem is on defense, and so once we solidify that defense and get that defense locked down, that's gonna be the game changer. And I'm gonna be calling up Neil Dog and getting some of that West Coast style
anytime
defense, them defense tips. So
Hey, I will tell you this, Trace. It's funny that you say that because he always say I don't give him his flowers, so I'm gonna give him his flowers now.
It's only taking him 12 years, something like that.
So 2008, real quick story. 2008, I took over 2007, 8, Bobby Lakey was our starting front guy. 8 and was 9 in Stockton, 2009.
9 was
and
Stockton. I
remember sitting on the sideline and I told Mike Garrett, I say, hey, I'm going to take that starting position up front. Like, that's my position. And he told me, say, hey, you show me that you want it, you go get it. And so I had been reaching out to different people, and Seth said, hey, I'm going to put you in contact with Neil. And at the time, I didn't know who the hell Neil was. I'm like, who? He's like, Neil Dog. I said, who the hell is Neil Dog? He said, I'm gonna put you in contact with what I knew him prior to me meeting him in person, Devil Dog. And I said, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about now. Like what that old guy can teach me. But I tell you, he gave me some tips that in 2000 and was it 10?
Whatever year you made the all tournament team.
Yeah,
it should be easy for you. It's the only
defense.
time.
You know what? You're absolutely right. But if it wasn't for his sorry coaching and I didn't listen to none he said, then I wouldn't have made it to that tournament. So but no, it definitely was a blessing to get coaching from the great Hall of Famer Neil Dogs.
The awesome thing about, and that's what I love about Neil, is because even in the airport, we were sitting there talking, and he was saying something, and I thought about, I was like, dang, I say that's where I screwed up at, and I was like, dang, I should have talked to him like 4 days ago, right? Like,
Like, I'm responding like, oh, like the defensive challenge with you guys being spread out. Like a lot of that stuff you said resonated for me. Like one, like talking about the bad innings and self-inflicting. One, I love the fact that you guys see yourself as the problem, because if you're sitting there acting like a victim, that things that just aren't breaking your way, you're not going to improve. So seeing that you're self-inflicting is the only way you're going to improve it. And we went through that, when we started as the Dogs. Like our second year was 95 as the Dogs, and we finished third. But nearly every game we played in, we had one terrible inning, and
Yep.
it took us a while to kind of get past not having a bad a bad inning in a game or whatever, and a lot of it was experience. But too, like you talking about just how spread out you are, it's so hard to get a cohesive defense, because that comes from time on the field together at practice
Yep.
and learning how to communicate with each other, learning how to be aggressive without being you gotta be aggressive, but you gotta have like zone discipline also. You got to know what
Yep.
you can and can't do. You got to know what the people around you can and can't do. The Sirens, who I spent all my tournament hanging with, were kind enough after they were done with the tournament. We went out on Friday and practice for a little while, and because they're faced with this same thing of not getting a lot of practice time together, I was trying to teach them how to both hustle on plays, but also the importance of communicating. You know what I
Right.
mean? At the
yeah,
from one level to the next, from one side of the field to the next, everybody being in communication with each other. And it's especially important with the teams like yourselves, like the Sirens, where everybody isn't getting practice time together, enough
yeah,
practice time together.
And that's the thing that a lot of the teams that's above us, or even with Austin, a lot of teams are either home base or they have it to where they can practice and they're familiar with playing off of each other.
Yeah.
And so this year was the first year that we actually implemented the zone into our defense. And so that it still was a work in progress to get people to get familiar with how far they're supposed to go, how far they're not supposed to go, and so again, we got to a point towards the end of the series after doing it for a whole week where it started to click, and like I said earlier, when you have that.
don't lie, Greg, man. Don't lie, cause Cause it was
Don't lie.
It was Friday morning when me and Ron had our collision, right? Like, and I was
Well,
like, hell, I had
but
to hit that. I was like, hell, I had to hit that brick wall over there.
well, and I'm okay. All right. So we still had a work in progress, but I mean, like even on Thursday night when on Thursday night when we played Austin, I say that was the best game that we had as a cohesive unit playing defense, where I could say honestly, and even with the Hurricanes, it was a game to where it was like, okay, they scored on us. A lot of the times they scored on us, it was because of, it was just a better hit ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is that, it's a work in progress, and we're definitely taking our bumps and bruises. And we're, one of the main things that we're working on as a team is don't let, because everybody's going to make a mistake. You're not going to play perfect, but how do you react after you make that mistake? Does that mistake turn into 5 or 6, or does it, it gets pushed out the door? So it's a work in progress, but we definitely see bigger and better things for us as we're now starting to get an understanding of the zones and how the zones playing, and we're starting to play better.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be real. That Austin game, Molly did help us out a lot, but I mean, I'm definitely um. But I've been watching her, and she's here more. But so I thank Molly for that game.
Yeah, I mean, Molly ran into, I think, towards the end of the tournament what all pitchers run into.
Yeah.
And Mari Blumenthal from my Sirens, well, it was running into the same thing because I wasn't even there until Wednesday night. So the first time I was out on the field with the Sirens was on Thursday, and by then, there's a whole bunch of players that have never played for 2 days, and their arms are tired. Their
Yep.
bat swing, their bat's lower. It's dragging. Mari's never pitched for 3 straight days, so she's having her wrist was popping on her, like, and Molly, I know went through that same thing. Molly,
Well,
Molly,
I will correct something on that because Molly's been pitching for a while, so.
But she's never pitched full time in a World Series.
But what I'm saying with Molly is that when you have your players and a thing, you can't always just put it on the pitcher. It's also the players, but they put balls in plays that we just made plays on as well. She probably had a more of a strikeout rate, but hey, so did we. So I mean, it did happen with players being injured and not running to the base as well. We could have scored more runs. Don't throw that dart
at me, G. I'm gonna get that dunker right there.
I agree with you though.
I wasn't just talking about you, but it's a thing to where when the thing with a series is that it wears on everybody. It wears on everybody. So it's what you do when it starts wearing on you that, if you're getting tired, how's your swings? Does the pitcher have to go searching for your swing? Whereas at the beginning of the week, it was the same thing at whatever, like me and Elsie. Up until Friday, we had 1,000% contact rate. Every time I came with the bat, I put the ball in play. Now, whether I got out or not, that's a whole different thing. But by Friday, from playing 3 games on Thursday night being not ending until almost 11 o'clock, then we had to turn around and play a 6:30 game on Thursday. It was done. It was whatever. At that point in time, it was just, let's play this game. Let's get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's just like, we could put it on whoever, but as a player, that's consistency. You got to have everything around the board.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and I called Molly's name, and I was just saying because of the strikes, but I mean, like, that just I know what I was saying is that did help us. It helped us out a lot that Thursday night. And like I said, defense is what we just got. We got to improve on defense, and when we do that, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to stop us because like underdog is gonna put that ball on the bat, and he gets stronger the deeper you go in the week. Greg got tired. It wasn't Elsie.
Hey, I didn't say it was Elsie. I just
Greg been tired since 2017.
You're right. Hey, and I had a co-cap that was just as tired with his slow running.
I'll show you how I could bring this all around full circle before we wrap it up. So just like with this book and the 100 goals, like you guys coming as leaders and Larry coming out of this last World Series need to write down the things that you believe you need to improve on, because when you all get together in the spring, it's not going to be fresh on your mind. But I mean, if you really want to close the gap during the off season, you need to identify the areas where those gaps need to be closed, and you need to set goals on how to close those gaps, and you need to stay with it.
Well, see, that's part of what that Texas tournament is about, and what Greg is working on with that, because that'll give us that opportunity to get into some action before the World Series, so we get a chance to play with each other and stuff. Yeah. So all of that's part of the plan. So, I appreciate Greg for taking the lead on that, and like I say, so as we move forward, then those are definitely things that are part of those goals, and are part of the things that you'll see the Tigers doing. So, Neil Dog, we might have to fly you in, man, or something. Look, so be ready.
Man, put them on the F-18 and put them in the middle of the ocean somewhere.
Listen, I'm no Darnell Booker. I don't go all over the place on my own dime, man. I don't know that Tyler Tigers with their 2 rooms and 1 van can afford to bring Neil Dog.
See, that was the good old days.
It's different Tigers, man.
It's a whole different team.
Look.
Hey, and look, we definitely coming out. We definitely coming out on a mission, as next year is the 30-year anniversary for the Tigers. So we are definitely on a mission to definitely right some wrongs. So.
Well, I think is a nice note to end it on. I have nothing else to throw at you guys, but before I do wrap it up, do you have anything that I didn't touch on that you wanted to touch on?
Only thing I will say is, with thank you for the opportunity, but also, guys, make sure you check out the All-Star thing coming up in December. We got some players that's going to be participating from several different teams. So we definitely want to support those guys, whether you can go or cannot go. Even if I can't go, Neil, no, I'll be tuned in somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Greg, I don't think he's as well known for it as, Cooter or myself or Demo, but man, you keep your ear close to the beat baseball world.
Man, let me tell you, I felt like how when you watch the draft this year, I felt like you know how they say, oh, well, they got 5 phones working. I got one phone on one game. I got another one, and I'm talking to Leah. She's like, hey, what's the score over there? And I'm like, oh, it's da-da-da-da-da-da. Or I've heard her say a couple times, oh, Greg could give me the score. Oh my God, man.
Other phone, talking about, man, where the hell the game at?
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, let me share it to you real quick. Like, hey, listen, I got phones over here and iPads and computers going. I'm like, man, I have become with the way that we've taken this sport into the new millennium, so to say, with technology. It is definitely, we always say we want to get the recognition and we want to get people to pay more attention to the sport. Well, we got to do it first. You know what I mean? We got to get those views up, and we got to get it to where it becomes I can't think of the word right now, but it basically becomes where it starts pinging on other people's pages and we're sharing it and we're doing stuff like that. So even if my team is not participating, viral, there you go. Even though my team is not participating, I'm paying attention to everybody else, because also that helps me understand when I'm out there with my team and we're playing a certain team. Okay, this person likes to hit more to the left. That person, I started to become over there like Boston, where this person is more left, center, left, right, and that gives me, in my mind, to know how to kind of shade one way or shade another way, or even know how they're going to be going. And so it's definitely fun, and I think everybody should, to get better in this sport, watch videos of other teams, but also watch videos of yourself to figure out what you've done wrong and to help better your game. When I played for Austin and I got injured, one of the things that I focused on for the World Series offensively was I would watch Austin play in Chicago and Indy, and I would listen to Tim Hittner's swing. And I'm hurt, but I'm thinking in my mind, getting that mental rep. Right. And that year I missed the offensive all-star by one at bat, one run. So, I mean, it happens. We just got to make sure that we better ourselves individually as a team, and that'll help to elevate our sport as well.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I appreciate both of you, man. I do. I know I give you a hard time, Greg, but I've been proud of you. You've come a long ways in the beatball world as far as your interaction. I like talking to people about that, encouraging them to reach out to you, because you are you're pretty heavily involved in our sport. So I appreciate you for that. Proud of you for taking on more of a leadership or a more active role in the sport. And Tracey, man, I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you, man. I enjoyed sitting there and talking with you and your wife, Kim. Do I have the name right? I'm terrible with names.
No, you're absolutely right.
Nice.
You nailed it.
I enjoyed getting to know you and Kim there at the airport, and I'm going to enjoy our friendship over the years. So thanks again for the book.
Tracey, I will tell you this, Tracey, run now. Run.
Never. Look,
I've been warning people since I was in my 20s. A little bit of Neil Dog goes a long way. So be careful.
Hey, I'll tell you the real stories behind Neil Dog. We in front of a camera now. I'll tell you more about it later.
Thank you for saving me from that.
But no, thank you for having us on, Neil. I really appreciate it. And big ups to you, man. Like, even being a Hall of Famer and being retired, but giving back to the sport in the way that you do. And also, you know, like, shouts out to you on working with our first women team. You know, Tyler can appreciate that, being that Tyler was the first African-American team. So to, you know, want to definitely show love to the Sirens and the first all-female team. I mean, Austin might as well be an all-female team, just about. I mean, they got Darius as a girl. The only man over there is Mariano and Mikey. Nah, just kidding. But no, seriously, like, Austin has definitely paved the way for the women in this sport. And to see the Sirens take it to the next level, this sport can't do nothing but get better, man.
I appreciate that.
Man, it is definitely awesome to know you, man. And then, like I say, Hall of Famer, man. When you look back over those the West Coast Dogs and all of those teams that you were a part of, man, it just, I mean, I was sitting there and I'm like, hey, man, I'm here with a legend. Like, so I was real proud sitting there with you at the airport, man, and glad to know you and glad to be a part of what you're doing now.
And we would take our $50 each.
Listen, man, Tracey was deep, man. I'll give him the whole 100.
That's all right. We
captains.
We
touched me.
We're share. We're captains, sort of.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for the kind words. I appreciate all of it. That's gonna be it for this episode. I am not sure if we're gonna have a show the last weekend of October or not. We definitely are not dropping down to every other week yet, but we might take the last weekend of October off. However, if something pops, we'll be right here with you. Either way, we'll be back for another episode before too long. Thank you to anyone and everyone that checked this out, and we will see you next time. Be well.